There are people you have known for years who now feel like strangers. Not because anything happened, not because they changed, because you did. You are sitting in conversations that used to feel like home and feeling like a visitor, nodding, answering, present in body, but somewhere else entirely in your attention. That distance isn't betrayal. It isn't ingratitude. It is the specific loneliness that only arrives when you have grown past something that used to be enough. If you know exactly what that feels like, hit like right now. It means this: found the right person. Here's what no one explains about the loneliness of outgrowing people. It has nothing to do with love. You can love someone completely and still find that you have moved into a different frequency of existence, one they cannot access. Not because they are lesser, but because they are exactly where they are meant to be, and you are no longer there with them. The distance is not rejection. It is physics. When a planet changes its mass, its gravitational field changes with it. The orbit that was stable becomes unstable, not because the other bodies did anything wrong, but because the conditions that made the orbit possible have been altered at the source. Planets that were once in close proximity begin to drift, not through conflict, not through failure, simply because the gravitational reality has shifted. You have become a different mass. The old orbits no longer hold. Most people experiencing this interpret it as a flaw in themselves. They decide they are becoming cold or arrogant or damaged in some way that makes real connection impossible. They spend enormous energy trying to force the old orbits back into place, manufacturing interests they no longer feel, reviving conversations that have run their natural course, showing up to relationships with performance instead of presence, and all of it feels hollow. Because it is... You cannot restore an orbit by pretending that gravity hasn't changed. Viktor Frankl wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." But there is a corollary to that truth that Frankl lived inside his own life. When you change yourself deeply enough, the situations around you become the things that can no longer remain. Not because you drove them away, because transformation is not a private event. It has a radius. It reaches everything in your orbit and either pulls it closer into alignment with who you are becoming or makes it impossible for it to stay. The people drifting away from you right now are not drifting because you failed them. They are drifting because you changed your mass, because something grew inside you that altered the gravitational field of your entire life. And the old orbit, the one built on who you used to be. The conversations that used to satisfy you. The version of connection that no longer reaches the depth you now require, that orbit can no longer hold you. This is not the beginning of a lonelier life. This is the beginning of a truer one. And this is what we will explore next. There are specific ways this shift shows up, the precise daily moments that tell you something has changed in your gravitational field. Each of them feels uncomfortable. None of them mean what you fear they mean. The first is feeling like a tourist in conversations that used to feel like home. You are in a room with people you have known for years, maybe decades, and you are listening to the conversation and you are present, but you are not in it. Not really. Something in you is watching from a step removed. The references still land, the jokes still track, but the urgency is gone. The feeling that this exchange is feeding something necessary in you, that is gone. What was once home now feels like a place you visit. Not unpleasant, just no longer where you live. This is not a loss of love. It is a change of residence. The second is running out of things to say to people you have known for years. Not because there is hostility between you. Not because the relationship has been damaged. Simply because the things you are thinking about, the questions you are sitting with, the territory your mind now moves through, they have no entry point in these conversations. You try to introduce them and feel the room shift, feel the connection fray slightly, and you retreat back to the surface. And then you feel the particular exhaustion that comes from spending time with people while keeping your real life hidden. This is the tax of outgrowing, paid in the currency of withheld self. The third is feeling a quiet relief when plans get canceled. Not because you dislike the people, but because the energy it takes to be with them, to be present, to be engaged, to perform the version of yourself that fits the dynamic, costs more than it returns. When the cancellation comes, something in you exhales, and then you immediately feel guilty for that exhale. The guilt is real, But the exhale is also real. And the exhale is telling you something important. That some of your social commitments have become obligations dressed in the language of friendship. The fourth is no longer being the first to share your news. You get good news, something real, something that matters to you, and you notice you are not reaching for your phone to tell the people who used to be your first call. Not because you don't want to share it, because you have stopped trusting that they will meet it at the level it lives in you, because you have been met with muted responses, or practical questions when you needed emotional recognition, or enthusiasm that felt like a performance of enthusiasm rather than the real thing. And so you hold your life a little closer to your chest, and you wait without quite knowing what you are waiting for. You are waiting for the new orbit to form. None of these are signs that you are becoming cold. All of them are signs that your gravitational field has changed and that the new orbit is still forming. But here is what no one tells you about what comes next. There is something growing in the silence that the old connections used to fill. Something that could not grow while you were still pouring your energy into maintaining orbits that had already begun to drift. Something quiet and specific and entirely yours. A self that has been trying to emerge for longer than you know, waiting for the conditions to be right. Waiting for the noise to thin enough for it to be heard. The solitude that comes from outgrowing people is not the same as loneliness. Loneliness is the pain of needing connection and not having it. This is different. This is the particular quality of space that arrives when you have stopped managing the performance of belonging and discovered, in the quiet that follows, that there is someone inside that space you have not yet met fully. Yourself, in a version you have not had room to inhabit. Viktor Frankl survived conditions that stripped away everything external, every relationship, every comfort, every certainty. And in the center of that devastation, he found something that could not be taken. He called it the last human freedom, the ability to choose your response to whatever arrives. But what he discovered inside that freedom was not just resilience. It was an identity. A self so clear and specific that no external condition could obscure it, because it had been built in the only place where real building can happen. The interior, the silence, the space where no one else can reach. You have been given involuntarily a version of that silence, not through devastation, through growth. And in that silence, if you let it be silence instead of rushing to fill it with substitutes, you will find the same thing Frankl found, not loneliness, clarity, the shape of who you actually are, finally audible because the other voices have drifted far enough away. Here is something to do right now. Think of one thought you have been carrying that you haven't shared with anyone, not because it is shameful, but because no one in your current orbit would fully meet it. Just sit with it for 30 seconds. Feel its weight. Feel how much of your energy it takes to hold it alone. That thought is the shape of your new gravity. That is what you are becoming, and it is looking for the orbit it belongs to. This is when everything begins to shift. You came into this video carrying something you didn't have a name for. A distance from the people around you that didn't feel like a choice. A loneliness that coexisted with genuine love. A confusion about whether something was wrong with you or right. Whether this drifting was failure or direction. Here's the answer. It is direction. The drift is not random. Gravitational fields do not change without reason. You changed because something in you grew, a capacity for depth, a requirement for honesty, a tolerance for solitude that most people never develop because they never have to. These are not losses of connection. They are the preconditions for a different quality of it. The orbit is not gone, it is reforming. The people and connections that belong to who you are becoming, they exist. Some of them are already in your life, waiting to be moved from the edge to the center. Some of them you have not yet met, because the version of you that is attractive to them has not yet fully arrived. The old orbits had to thin before the new ones could take shape. That thinning was not punishment. It was preparation. And the solitude you've been living inside, the quiet that follows when the maintenance of the old connections finally stops consuming you, is not an absence, it is a field. The specific gravitational field of a person who has grown past what used to contain them. It is the field that will draw toward it whatever and whoever belongs to the next version of your life. Not through effort, through the simple fact of what you have become. Loneliness is the last stage of the old orbit. On the other side of it is not more solitude. It is a connection of a kind you have not yet experienced, because you have not yet been this version of yourself before. Connection that meets you where you actually are, that requires no performance, that does not ask you to make yourself smaller to fit inside it. Your soul did not outgrow everyone. It outgrew the orbits that no longer match its mass. The right ones are forming now, in the space the old ones left behind. If this is called loneliness, you haven't known how to explain, write in the comments. I'm in between orbits. Let's see how many of us are drifting toward the same new gravity right now. If this channel is new to you, subscribe. Every video on this channel is made for the version of you that has outgrown the easy answers. The next one takes this further than this one could. The new orbit is already forming. Don't stop here.